So last time I walked you through a very simple implementation of tic-tac-toe. Right now we're using the bare minimum of HTML. Uh, in the interest of implementing a web page as it's normally done, we're going to add some more features that integrate with HTML. Firstly, note that if I run this application, then we're pretty much entering all of our data through input box. That's typically not done. Usually there's some sort of input field, and I'm just going to write input, and I'm going to give it an ID of answer. And this is typically where people will put stuff, or how input will typically be done. And what I want to do is temporarily disable play. So let me just, I'm going to add false here so that the game loop does not proceed as normal. And I'm going to update. And notice that we have a new move box, or an answer box, and when we hit, or there's also a move button. And let's add a label. Position. There we go. So what we can do is, instead of asking for input using a prompt, we can do that using this input box here. We also need an area where we can input messages. And these messages will be shown to the user. Alright, so there's a number of things that we need to change in this code. For one, whenever we alert the user or display a message to the user, we should just put it into the messages box. So we can do that by creating a new function, message, and we're going to pass a message. And normally we would have alerted that message, but instead what we're going to do now is set that message into the messages box. We can do that using this code right here. And I'm going to change all of the various instances of alert to message, and there's just one more. And this is the prompt. So we will wait to change that because that's a little more difficult. And you'll see why in a moment. So instead of alerting us now. We should see messages in this box here. And let's enable this game loop. So note that when I entered 0, I saw this message here, the position you entered is too low. And that's what we expect. Now the tricky thing about altering the prompt here is that right now the UI, the user interface, is blocking and waiting for an answer to which position would you like to play before proceeding with the other stuff down here. Unfortunately, since the user can just enter stuff here whenever they want, we have to kind of reformat the code a little differently so that when someone clicks move, then we continue with all of this stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a function that just does this. And we will call it function step. And it will accept an answer. And let's comment this part out, this loop here. And we also need to move this part inside. Since we use counter in this function, we need to move the definition before the function definition. And that is it. So the other thing we have to do is create a function. So on, move, click. We want to do something. And what do we want to do? We want to step using the value from this message box. This message box is called ID. So let's first get the value of our value document.get by ID, and answer is the ID, and we want to enter HTML. Or actually, so we want the value. Here I'm not positive about what the actual property is. It's been a while doing raw JavaScript, but we'll try this first. And then we want to step using that value. Let's move this lower after step. And finally, we want to call on move click when move is clicked. I'm also going to add an alert here, just for debugging. Okay. And now I'm going to add an event listener. And I need to give this an ID, the button. We'll call it button move. Move. Add event listener. Click. And let's just do a really simple function here. Click. Okay. A function test alert hi. The the buttons actually disappeared. Should be up here. Okay. Let's just run this. And when we click move, we should see test or hi, yeah, great. So we know that this function is running, and we're just going to replace test with on move click. And you may notice that I didn't have parentheses when using this function. That's because we're passing the function as an object to add event listener, so that it can invoke the function when the button is clicked. Okay, so we didn't get a value there, and I'm going to need to look this up. So, let's see, Mozilla DOM input value. Oh, and actually that should be right because we didn't put anything in here. Let's try putting something. There we go. Okay, so the move was entered correctly, and now you see the X was moved in the first position. I'm going to move again, and the O is in the second position. Great. We're off to a great start. One thing that we need to do is remove the value once we're done. And hopefully this will do it. We're just going to set the value equal to empty string. One thing I want to mention, you may notice that I'm interchangeably using single quotes and double quotes. They're pretty interchangeable in JavaScript. There's not much difference, so I'm not sure why I use one or the other. Sometimes that's probably habit from other programming languages. Don't worry about that. Okay, great. Now that we're doing this, it's a little confusing. So it's actually confusing who's going to move. So let's make sure that we always show the current value. And actually, should probably be in a different window. There you go. And we missed one message earlier. One. Okay, great. I'm just going to remove this message so that we know it works. And there you have it. Our game is slightly uh, less blocking. It's event-based because now we wait for a user to click a button before evaluating. So we've gotten rid of a lot of the input and alert boxes. Well, that's pretty much it that I have planned for today. I hope you enjoyed that, and there'll be future revisions of this source in other videos. Thanks.